Ladies and gentlemen, the Federal Housing Finance Agency has referred Leticia James for criminal prosecution. This is an ABC News article. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Federal prosecutors are now looking into, they've opened a criminal investigation into the New York Attorney General. The indictment is almost certainly written. So President Trump is not playing around. They went after him for inflating his net worth. Mar-a-Lago is not $17 million. It's well over $1.5 billion. That's according to top real estate experts in Florida. We can go on. The FEC, former FEC chairman, stated there was no hush money campaign finance violation. Even if he paid Stormy with dollar bills, it wouldn't have been a federal campaign finance violation. The FEC and the DOJ dropped the case. They still went after Trump. And then, it's like the New York Attorney General tried desperately to ruin Trump's chances. The state of New York, the Democratic Party, tried desperately to ruin Trump. It didn't work. In a couple of seconds, you will hear the legal analysis pertaining to why indictments are pretty much a set, done deal, according to Jonathan Turley and others. But NPR, Justice Department, grand jury probe. If a federal agency refers for criminal prosecution, the New York Attorney General, because of falsified documents, it's a clear-cut case. People have gone to prison or paid, people have gone to jail or prison or paid tremendous fines for similar activity to what the Attorney General did or allegedly did. DOJ investigating New York Attorney General's office and Senator Schiff with a special attorney. It's a completely different Department of Justice. When Democrats say, well, Barr's Department of Justice didn't do anything. It's like, well, yeah, because Barr's Department of Justice was not Trump's. Just because President Trump had a first term doesn't mean he had any influence, any major influence when it comes to the Department of Justice. Now he does. Big time. Anyway, hit subscribe to this channel. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. The indictment is basically a done deal.
That attorneys general representing our respective states stand up and enforce the rule of law. The president of these United States is not above the law.
No matter how rich, powerful, or politically connected you are, everyone must play by the same rules.
Please sue him for us.
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the
And now the Trump.
So Democrats and many Republicans, actually, never Trumpers, wanted Garland's Justice Department, Biden's Justice Department, and government officials to investigate Trump. They set up and framed him. They accused him of being a Kremlin operative. There will be indictments pertaining to that. That's 18 U.S. Code 371, a statute where you can't deceive the entire country based on a hoax funded by Clinton and the DNC and others. But the mindset is, let's just harm him, hurt him in some way, sue him for no reason, just sue him into oblivion. He was a billionaire, former president, and he didn't commit any of the crimes he was accused of committing. Okay? A civil case. These were all civil. These were either civil cases or criminal trials that were predicated upon absurd, outlandish leaps of legal doctrine or logic. It is an absurd, ridiculous, nonsensical, stupid leap of logic to say that Trump was a Kremlin operative because Clinton purchased the Steele dossier, literally setting him up and framing him. It is a completely absurd and outlandish leap of logic to say that Trump tried to foment a rebellion and steal 2020. Not for 1 second did Democrats think anything was stolen. In fact, they stole it from Biden, forcing him out like they cheated Bernie Sanders. They cheated Biden. Biden actually won his primary. So it's all topsy-turvy. Everything you've heard about Trump and everything Democrats claim to uphold, the opposite is true. But check this out. It's easy. It's not outlandish. It's not a leap of logic to look at documents and say, okay, these documents were falsified. Okay, you don't have that with Trump. You had a never-ending quest to try to claim that he he deceived Deutsche Bank, but Deutsche Bank literally defended Trump at the trial. So, again, any bank in the world would love to lend Trump $500 billion. He's part of world history, not just American history, okay? Not so with Adam Schiff, LETICIA James. They are part of history. They're not part of world, well, they might be, you could say, part of world history, but 100 years from now, people will be talking about Donald Trump because he is a world leader that was able to survive an entire political system leveled against him, a global political system leveled against him. Okay? What the AG in New York allegedly did was very simple to prove. Check this out.
Justice Department may be a pain in her you-know-what. The angle has obtained shocking allegations leveled by the Trump administration against New York Attorney General Letitia James. The Federal Housing Finance Agency has sent a criminal referral to the DOJ accusing James of mortgage fraud. In a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi, Director Bill Pulte says James appears to have falsified records in order to meet certain lending requirements and receive favorable loan terms. He cited a property in Virginia that she's allegedly claimed as her principal residence and a property in New York that she claimed as a 4-unit structure instead of the required, instead of a 5, which Pulte says means she was able to get and more favorable loan. Joining me now is Jonathan Turley, Fox News contributor and law professor at GW University.
So it's not difficult to prove that you knew very well it's a 5-unit, not a 4-unit. Okay, very different from saying Trump should be off the ballot in Colorado. Okay, that's an absurd leap of logic that the Supreme Court unanimously refuted. Trump continually wins Supreme Court victories, okay? The Supreme Court said, no, he can't be kicked off the ballot. He didn't commit a rebellion or try to foment a rebellion. He wasn't even convicted of that or even accused of that. Well, he wasn't convicted of that, so you can't do anything. You can't kick him off the ballot. But let's continue. See, nothing here. An indictment is basically imminent because there's no absurd leap of logic. If you falsified documents to get better insurance or better loan or save money in terms of lower rates, that's a huge deal.
Jonathan, mortgage fraud is rampant in the United States. There's all sorts of fraud that's rampant. There's disability fraud that they've vowed to crack down on in the Trump administration. But this is another thing that they have vowed to crack down on because it costs real money. Your reaction to these allegations?
Well, obviously, the irony is perfectly crushing. This is a person who prosecuted Trump for everything short of ripping a label off a mattress. And among the charges that were brought in New York, in not just the civil but the criminal case, was making false or misleading statements to financial institutions. And one of these sections, Section 1014 of the federal code, is prosecuted. It took me about 60 seconds of a search to find cases that the Department of Justice brought against people who falsely claimed that property was their principal residence in order to get loans. So this is well-tread areas for the Justice Department. As for James, if we apply the Letitia James standard that she created, there'd be little question here. This seems pretty straightforward. What the administration is saying is this was not her principal residence. In fact, as a New York elected official, she had to say that her principal residence was in New York. This was an out-of-state residence. But also, they claim that in some of these forms, she actually states that her father is her husband in order to file as a married couple. So there's.
So, again, this is not difficult if these allegations are true and Letitia James could be innocent. The documents, however, likely won't lie. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Again, very simple indictments to level against a person who likely committed crimes. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Thank you.